Good morning and welcome to Live in a Greenhouse on YouTube. Today we tackle preparing space on the property to receive the greenhouse and then receiving the greenhouse. Good morning. It's Monday morning. It's still dark out, but I expect Matt anytime now. There are a couple things to work on today. One is clearing space on the property to receive the greenhouse package, which is scheduled to arrive tomorrow morning. And the other is to start backfilling the foundation for the retaining wall, the house, and the pool. The issue is the space where we think we'll need to store the greenhouse material is a domino situation. We need to put in footing drains and backfill to not only close up these big holes, but also to use up these big piles of dirt, both of which are taking up a lot of valuable space on the property. And to do this before tomorrow morning. So stay tuned and let's see Matt and Dave work their magic. We don't know how long the greenhouse pieces will be or how much volume of storage space they'll need. So this area above the retaining wall, that's where we may need to put pieces that are too long or large to fit elsewhere. First order of business, though, is greasing up the backhoe for a long day of moving rocks and dirt. Then Matt cleaned up around the footing while Dave got the tarps off the dirt pile. Here's the first of 2 rock deliveries. Yesterday, people from 5 different countries looked at my blog.
Oh, really?
Not many home builds have followers from around the world. Matt seems to be taking it in stride. Footing drains are a landscape fabric burrito filled with a 4-inch perforated pipe and washed rock. It can be a little fussy to drop the rock without moving the pipe from its bed. Here's Matt showing off his skill while Dave shows off his trust. This pipe will take the water from both sides of the retaining wall drain down to the outflow. Putting in the south retaining walls drain was done the same as the north section, except there will be a wheelchair ramp from the driveway to the courtyard below, so this side doesn't get backfilled to the top of the wall. Fortunately, it didn't rain until later in the day, so the dirt was easier to smooth without turning to mud. It was finally time to move to the courtyard level. We knew we'd hit the old septic line, but that's not a problem because it isn't in use, and a new line will be run as part of the house construction. With the courtyard leveled, there's now space to deliver rock for the house footing drain. Dave prepared the fabric and pipe, while Matt moved the rock. Of course, it started raining, and it was already a long day, but Matt stayed to finish clearing the mountain of rock, moving it to the courtyard. Good morning, it's Tuesday, it's about 6 o'clock. I need to get ready to get on one of the early ferries. The greenhouse arrives today and I need to be there to meet the truck. A quiet morning and calm seas at the ferry dock. It's hard to express what it felt like to see the truck approaching. I didn't sleep much last night, and I was glad for the rain to cover up some weepy moments. There was only this truck and a dump truck in line for this ferry. They loaded Mike first. Fortunately, it wasn't low tide to make the ramp too steep. This is Mike's GPS as the ferry approached the dock. I'd given him this map and explained to not follow his GPS due to weight limit on the shore road. Big truck on narrow roads through hill and dale. We thought it best that I serve as a pilot car. We'd asked for, but didn't get from the manufacturer, a description of how the load was packed and stacked so we could have the right machine, the right number of people, and the right amount of storage space cleared on the property. This first view was a wild mix of excitement that this day had finally arrived, relief that it got here without issue, and anticipation of how our unloading plan would change based on how the materials were actually loaded. The 3 doors were in front, barrels and boxes of parts in the middle, and stacks of metal strapped in bundles in the back. There was also a pallet with a box of polycarb panels stacked in the back with the metal. Matt first moved the doors and barrels to a safe location next door.
Are you excited?
I'm about as excited as you can get. This has been in the works for 2 years.
You think outside the box. Because I don't know anybody else who would think of putting a house inside a greenhouse.
After moving a load or two, we decided it was too tight to maneuver in that area, so Mike pulled the truck forward to a wider area. Unfortunately, this blocked the road, but Mike moved out of the way for the only car that came from that direction during the 3 hours it took to unload. Another challenge to moving the long materials was all the obstacles at the driveway entrance. On the left are tall shrubs that I ended up cutting back, and to the right is a post with my lot's address and the guy wires for that power and telephone pole. This meant each load Matt had to make a do-si-do while driving backwards. The polycarb package was not as expected and turned out to be the biggest challenge and the longest to unload. There was a single box on a pallet about 25 feet long by about 6 feet wide. First, Matt tried to lift the pallet from the middle to test the amount of flex in the pallet and his machine's ability to lift it as a single load. Strike that idea. So Matt opened the end of the box to see how it was packaged.
Walk the panels down the hill.
And that's what we did. We unloaded them by hand. That was all hands on deck, including me and Mike, the driver, so I didn't get any video of that process. Matt still had to deal with getting that 25-foot pallet out of the truck. Eventually, he cut it in half. After the truck was empty, it was time to bring home the doors and barrels. And this is the greenhouse delivery. There are parts stacked everywhere. There's the front door, the steel frame, boxes of fasteners. Not really sure what's in those barrels. And then there are 2 lengths of poles over here. And just like that, it was done. And I went to my day job. And Matt went back to, well, moving material. Please like and subscribe. And come back next week as we prepare for the greenhouse installers to arrive.